Tonight has shown the beauty of the Canadian Championship, and it is all down to one side from League 1 BC, a semi-pro footballing side in TSS Rovers, a side that was only aware of this fixture a couple of weeks ago and taking in and stepping in over Victoria Highlanders Football Club. And this was an exceptional performance from TSS Rovers. It wasn't a performance where they were gonna go guns a-blazing and be chaotic and try to score with loads of chances. This was a backs against the wall, park the bus performance from TSS Rovers that we all would have expected. But they did it absolutely tremendously well, and they did it remarkably. This is a side that should have won this match, which was all down the officiating in my opinion, and you don't want to be looking at it down to the officiating in such a major match for a side like TSS Rovers, but for me they were absolutely robbed of a victory and a date in the next round with Atlético Ottawa, who themselves showed the beauty of this competition with a 7-0 victory last night over Valour. This was an incredible performance from TSS Rovers, a resilient performance, a clinic in defending and putting your absolute body on the line and fighting for the badge, a terrific performance from the goalkeeper, having 2 saves in the penalty shootout as well, and this was a side that should have even won in penalties. The TSS Rovers players, of course, would have loved to put this side into penalty shootouts and to have Pacific FC going into pens, but this is a match that never should have went into the penalty shootout. And yes, you could look at this and argue this, there should have been more time on the clock anyways, but even I know I'm official myself and I don't ref at that high of a level, I do provincial level, and I'm not going to put myself anywhere near in that conversation as that official was. But looking at that match and what happened in extra time, you just have to look at when Luke went up for that header. It was a clear head injury, and no matter what, whichever way you want to look at it, that was a foul. I don't care what side of the coin you're on, if you're a Pacific fan, if you're a TSS Rovers fan, if you're a fan of any other club in the Canadian Premier League or Canadian footballing realm, that was a foul from Luke, and even if it wasn't a foul, that official should be stopping that ball on the spot because it's a head injury. No matter what, if foul or not, that ball should be called dead. It should be stopped, and Pacific never should have been allowed to keep playing. Yes, the goal didn't come exactly from that spot, but that head injury that he didn't blow a foul for ended up resulting in that extra minute and 20 seconds that the official added on. The only reason there was a minute and 20 seconds added on for Giguère to put the ball in the back of the net was down and due to a reffing mistake. And yes, you can look at it should there have been 7 minutes added on? Should there have even been 6 minutes added on? Yes, I believe there should have been 6 minutes added on, but there never should have been that added minute on top of the 6, and there was only a minute added on to the top of the 6 due to a reffing mistake. So that is something you can't even put down to the players. That is something you can't even put down to the match. TSS Rovers did all they could. But the reason there was an extra minute and 20 seconds on was down to the reffing error, where there was a head injury, the ball wasn't even stopped, and then he had to go and bring the ball back in the game back to look and take action of his mistake. You saw the TSS Rovers players react in absolute outrage after Rion Moore was set up with a beautiful chance, which he should have scored. It shouldn't have been left down to Thomas Giguère winner in the 97th minute, or draw equalizer in the 97th minute. This should have been down to a Rion Moore equalizer, which was all down to the fault of the official for having that play not called dead for a foul and a clear chance for TSS Rovers to more than likely ice the game out, put the ball into the opposite box, put the ball into the opposite corner, and kill a massive amount of time in this match. But due to the ref missing that clinical call, allowed Pacific and allowed the referee to now have to add on that minute and 20 seconds. And yes, this was a fantastic game. This was a huge clinic in defensive football from TSS Rovers, as Pacific did finish on 68% possession, 20 shots, 6 on target with 2 big chances. And 2 big chances. Those really came in the extra time. This is all from FootMob stats, guys. There were some great saves throughout the match as well from the goalkeeper from TSS Rovers. But for me, This was a side that was completely robbed. This League 1 BC side, who was only aware of this fixture two weeks or so ago to step in for Victoria Highlanders and to play an absolute match and to play their socks off, have been robbed here by Pacific FC and by the officiating. And also, another thing I want to touch on before I dive in a bit more, Emil Gazdov shouldn't have been even able to come on into this penalty shootout. This was a match that was supposed to end after 6 minutes. He allowed a minute on, then the celebrations, and then he waited to the 99th minute to allow Gazdov to step on the pitch. You're not supposed to. There's 6 minutes added on, 7 minutes fair due to a reffing error, and then you allow the goalkeeper substitution to happen. You can't do that when there's supposed to be only 6 minutes of added time, then you add an extra 3 minutes on to play and just to wait for the substitution to happen. That's not something that's supposed to happen in the law book, in the officiating. Yes, if the substitution's there before the goal goes on, before the stoppage, then fair play, but that's not supposed to happen in my opinion. And I don't believe Gazdov should have came on. He made some fantastic saves in the penalty shootout. He made a brilliant save in the penalty shootout. And for me, I even said it in my Pacific FC preview. Gazdov's going to be the reason this team has success this year, and he showed it in this match. For me, I'm not the supporter of Pacific FC, or I'm not a fan of Pacific FC in general. They have some terrific players, a great coach in James Merriman, but this is a team who I really predict to struggle this year. And yes, you could say so far, well, this is the first goal they've allowed in regulation. Well, you also have to look at who they've played so far. They played Valour, who have been absolutely put to bed tonight by Atlético Ottawa 7-0, and then they went on to play HFX Wanderers at the first game of the season, where they only scored 1 goal, and then yes, they got a draw out of Cavalry, but Cavalry, in my opinion, also should have managed to win that game. So this is a Pacific FC side who, in my opinion, are going to struggle to score goals this year, as you saw from Rio Morsk missing a huge chance, as you saw from having 20 shots throughout the 90 against a League 1 BC side. I don't believe this Pacific FC side should be predicted as high as they are. And fair play, they could surprise me this season, which I would absolutely love, because they have some fantastic players there. Merjaguer, the likes of Rio Moore, I find very interesting prospects. Saloof, Sean Young, of course, and Gazdov. But this side is going to be carried by Gazdov. I think they're going to go into an interesting stretch, play the likes of Vancouver FC eventually, who I think are going to have a great season. When they play Forge and Atlético Ottawa, is going to be the true test here to see how good this Pacific FC side it really is this season. Their defense, phenomenal. Going forward, they're going to struggle. And we noticed it today against TSS Rovers, but ultimately, they got the job done, and that's all that matters. The real test is in the next round, where Pacific FC will face Atlético Ottawa in a match that I think might be the match of next round. It's going to be extremely interesting, but TSS Rovers showed and proved why this competition is also important for Canadian football and why it really matters and why we all love this game in Canada. Pushing aside a league above them, completely a league above them, to the death, to the brink, truly to sudden death. And arguably were absolutely robbed. And let me know your guys' opinions down below. Were TSS Rovers robbed? Should they have beaten Pacific FC? And should they be the side with a date in the next round against Atlético Ottawa? Drop a comment down below, guys. I had to make this reaction video. It was a very interesting match, and I absolutely loved watching it. I'd love to hear you guys' comments down below, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.